Hi, I'm Angie Adams.
And I'm Benji Adams, and we're the owners of Bammm Farms located here in Blackshear, Georgia. We're a small family operated farm that we try to grow all our vegetables naturally. Our slogan is safe, natural, and effective.
At Douglas Metal and Steel Manufacturing, we only use top quality steel and roofing. And with our on-staff custom designer, we can customize your building to best suit your needs. From large commercial, agriculture, or just a place to store your stuff. And it comes with a written 40-year warranty that we'll put in your hand. It's not just quality we stand behind, but we stand on. Call today for a free quote. Douglas Metal and Steel Manufacturing. We are steel #1.
Welcome to this episode of Katy on the Farm. I'm here today at Bammm Farms, where they are naturally growing produce and worms. Wait till you hear this story. And here comes my friend Benji Adams right now. Benji, thank you for having us out today.
My pleasure.
I appreciate it. I went straight for your tomatoes when I got here because this is of course everyone's gateway drug into gardening and fresh produce.
True.
Is the difference between a store-bought tomato and a homegrown tomato.
There's definitely a difference.
There's a huge difference. So we are really excited about what you're doing. We've seen you at the Way Green Market. We've seen you helping in the community, feeding people, helping at the schools.
Yes.
So there's going to be a lot to get into today. But could we start with the tomatoes?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. What do we have going on here?
Right now, here in the back is just the way we grow our tomatoes. We have 4 different varieties of cherry tomatoes.
Okay.
We have a black cherry, which they told us that we couldn't grow in South Georgia because of humidity, and well, you'll see in just a minute.
I can see them.
I can promise you can grow them.
Yeah.
We have the sun gold, we have an indigo purple, and then we have the traditional super sweet 100. We've been picking the super sweet 100 now for about 2 weeks.
Okay.
They're doing really well. We tried something a little different this year. The soil here in South Georgia is terrible for tomatoes, unless you dump a bunch of chemicals, which, I mean, we're not gonna do.
So how are you doing it?
We actually mix our own soils. We do everything in the 3-gallon grow bags. We tried 2 different ways of going this year. Normally we make our own soil solely from our farm.
Okay.
It gets a little expensive, so we're trying to do something a little different. These bags here, the ones that don't look so hot, they look kind of shabby, is actually when the hurricanes come through a couple years ago, the Brunswick area ground up all the hardwood.
Yeah.
And they're giving away free mulch. So we went down and we tried it. They started off really great, and it's just like they run out of nutrients really quick.
Okay.
We've added potash, trying to help. That's what you see on the top. It just didn't do well. Well, we have a good friend named Michael Powell that lives over on the other side of Pearson. Actually in between Cogdale and Pearson. He has cows, and he raises his own hay. He doesn't spray or anything, so he had a bunch of cow manure. Well, we went over and we got probably 3.5 tons of cow manure. And we come back and we mix our worm castings along with the cow manure, and that's the bushes that you see that's really tall.
Yeah, I see a lot of fruit here.
They're coming on. The taller ones, we have about 5 different varieties of slicing tomatoes. We have Rutgers. We have one that Johnny's come out with this year called Early Girl, or New Girl, which took the place of the Early Girl.
Okay.
Really good, high acidic tomato, really good on sandwiches. This one actually is a German stripe, which is a huge yellow tomato. A buddy of mine was growing them year 4 last over in Ray City, Georgia.
Okay.
Rusty Tomato Farms is what he was calling it. Unfortunately, he's got a lot of work going on this year, so he's not growing, but he had them and they were look like the size of cantaloupes. They were huge. I've never seen tomatoes that big.
Wow.
But they were so full of acid, but yet it still had that sweetness. I'm not a yellow meat tomato fan, but I am now. We have the traditional Rutgers and then the Prudence purple. That's one in the back there that you can see. It's sort of like a beefsteak, the way they collapse on top of each other, they're real ugly.
Okay.
To me, I like the ugly tomatoes that just, they get so
good.
big and fat and get just curl up on themselves. Those are really good. It's called a Prudence purple, but they're really a dark red. They're not very, purplish color, but they're really good. But the black cherries is something that we're very proud of. Actually, that cherry tomato has more antioxidants than any other tomato on the market.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of the black cherry tomatoes.
This is the first year we drew. I like them because it has a tomato taste, but yet has a slight tartness to it.
Yeah.
And that's what's...
Yeah.
And actually, you might get to eat the very first one because we hadn't even picked the first one yet.
And I will take it. Hi, I'm Katy Rogers. I hope you'll be right back after this message to join me.
The black cherries is something that we're very proud of. Actually, that cherry tomato has more antioxidants than any other tomato on the market.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of the black cherry tomatoes.
This is the first year we drew. I like them because it has a tomato taste, but yet has a slight tartness to it.
Yeah.
And that's what's...
Yeah.
And actually, you might get to eat the very first one because we hadn't even picked the first one yet.
And I will take it.
But yeah, tomatoes, you may mention that we go to wagering. Tomatoes really how we got our start.
Yeah.
At wagering, we'd always had tomatoes, and people look for us with our tomatoes. It's hard sometimes out there because you got all these other you-pick places.
Yes.
And people, well, I can go here and get something for, $7 for a 5-gallon bucket, and we're charging $3 a pound, and a lot of people don't understand why, but
that's what samples are for, right?
Exactly.
That's because once they taste one of these,
well,
then
last
they say,
year,
I gotta have some.
Last year, we actually went and bought some, and of the you-pick places, and I'm not knocking them. That's not what I'm doing.
Right.
Food needs to be drawn. People's eating vegetables at least.
Yes.
But we sliced theirs and then we sliced ours, and we wouldn't tell them, okay, here, you try and you tell us. And immediately they can tell the difference between our tomatoes and the ones that's grown, just mass produced.
For uniformity instead of flavor.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Ours wouldn't be as pretty. They may be misshaped. They might not have the color consistency as what some of the others, that you get from the you-pick places,
right.
But the flavor is just night and day. I mean,
I agree.
You get a hold of those and they have somewhat of a tomato taste, but more of a water. Ours, it's like Bammm.
Yes, Bammm Farms.
It's right in your face.
That's right. That's
really
right.
Good.
And you guys work so hard to use a nutrition and
yes.
growing medium that really feeds a healthy plant, and so you get this really flavorful fruit.
And us, all these have been started from seed. What we'll do, like the ones that's not doing good, that's died out, we'll come in and see if I can, right here, the sucker. We'll just pop the sucker out and we'll take worm castings and moisten it up really good and we'll stick them down and keep it wet, and in less than 6 weeks, it's fully rooted.
Yes.
And we'll replant.
All right. So the sucker grows in a tomato vine.
Right in the
V.
In between the two branches.
Okay.
Like here's one starting to form here.
And that can be propagated just in a really
Exactly.
rich...
And
Okay.
just like tobacco, I mean, it robs a lot of nutrients. But here's the thing, once you root it, it'll produce as much, if not twice as much fruit as the mother plant.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's a really efficient system in that
Exactly.
regard. Okay.
Last year, we had 16 cherry tomato plants, Sun Golds and Super Sweet 100s. We only weighed what we sold. We didn't weigh what we ate, and we ate a bunch.
And you have children, so you ate a
Yes.
bunch?
And we kept up with it, and off of 16 plants, we sold 150 pounds of cherry tomatoes off of 16 plants.
16 plants, you sold 150 pounds
When they died,
of food.
We had cherry tomatoes all the way through
Really
January
good food.
through December, because the
Wow.
frost never killed them. They're indeterminates, so they kept growing. If you was the way that we trellis ours, we use these tomahawks.
Okay,
We train the plant to grow up the string.
okay.
Once it gets to the top, we'll unhook it and slide it down.
Okay.
Well, the plant just keeps growing. We strip everything, which these has got to be stripped. We'll be doing this week. We'll
Okay.
strip from the bottom set of fruit all the way to the ground.
Okay.
And the reason why we want to send all the nutrients to the fruit. I'm trying to grow tomatoes, not leaves.
Okay. I understand that.
We send everything, and once it produces that fruit, we'll strip it and go to the next section. Now, will
Okay,
they just keep growing?
So this will look like a grape arbor?
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
last
that's
year
great.
in December, when we finally got a frost here in South Georgia, like the week before Christmas, is when it killed our cherry tomatoes, and we did those over there at the time. This system here is new. We measured one of our tomato plants, and it was 63 feet long, from base to end.
63 feet?
63.
I had no idea you could do this with tomatoes. I'm learning so much.
Yes, you can. It would actually, we'll go all the way down, and then it'll start coming back, and they'll lay on top of each other, and it'll make like a fence.
Wow. Wow.
It wound
We
up
just
being
lost a lot of food.
Yeah, I think we got plenty out here.
Now, you mentioned indeterminate tomatoes. Can you explain determinate, indeterminate
Yes.
for everyone?
Indeterminate means it's going to produce until something kills it, such as frost, heat,
Okay.
whatever. Determinate, they're going to produce their fruit and they're going to die.
Okay. Sauce tomatoes, right?
Sauce tomatoes.
Yeah.
Most of your you-pick places is a determinate tomato.
Okay.
Because it's going to produce a massive amount of produce, and then it's done.
Okay.
Indeterminates, you don't get quite as much at one time, but it just keeps producing,
And you can end up with that
Yes.
trellis.
And there's a lot more work involved in the indeterminate than it is the determinate, because determinates, they shoot up, we trellis at one time, and we're done.
Then you're done. But then you don't have any more fresh tomatoes, and that is
Exactly.
quite the cost.
It is. We really like the indeterminates. Here, if you have a greenhouse, it really pays off to have indeterminates.
Okay.
You can keep going further and further. Like I said, if we'd had a greenhouse or even just a hoop house that would have kept the frost off, we could just kept, I wouldn't be scared to say we could have produced all the way through the winter.
I did not know a tomato plant could do that. That's remarkable.
There's a guy that I know that we do business with. He's got a tomato plant that's 3 years old and it's still producing. But I mean, he's got it in his house, and he does aquaponics with the fish, and it circles his whole greenhouse, and I mean, it's pretty wild.
That's neat. Oh, Benji, I've learned so much. Thank you for showing this
Yes,
to us.
our pleasure.
All right.
You on a tomato?
I want a tomato. Can I
Okay.
really?
Yeah.
All right.
We'll try the. Yep, you get the first black cherry.
Look at this. Can you see this? Isn't that pretty? All right, are you gonna have one with me?
Actually, I'm gonna eat a super sweet 100.
All right, you eat the super sweet 100. I'll argue all day long that mine's better.
It'd be a hard argument. That tartness at the end,
It's so balanced.
it is.
Oh, that's my first fresh tomato of the year, Benji.
Really?
Yes, thank
Good,
you. That's a
good.
friend. That's what a friend does, is they give you the first
try.
tomato. All right.
Those are really sweet,
Okay. Those are really sweet.
aren't they?
That is so different. That's like a different vegetable.
It's completely different. That's what we like about it.
Wow. All right. Everybody needs to start growing some different varieties of tomatoes or come find Benji. Thank you so much for showing this to us. What else can we do today?
We have peas that we can pick today.
Well, let's go pick some peas.
Okay, let's go.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Katy Rogers. I hope you'll be right back after this message to join me. All right, Benji, you're putting me to work. These are beautiful. How do I know this is ready?
They'll be, well, pink eye purple hulls. The hull's gonna be predominantly purple.
Okay.
We try to make sure that it's at least 3/4 the way turned purple, like this one here, is still green.
Okay.
They don't shell well.
Okay, they don't shell well.
No,
I got it.
don't
All right,
shell
that's
well at
really
all.
important because I've spent some time shelling green peas and it's a tedious.
It is, and I've always shelled by hand. It's the way my grandmother always made us do it, my mom and my dad. And then my dad finally bought a pea sheller. And I'm telling you, that thing was the best thing since sliced bread.
I believe it.
I loved it because we could shell so many peas so much quicker.
I believe it. All
But,
right, so, yeah, some of these aren't ready. All right.
They've done really well here. We did something a little different from what my neighbors used to. Normally he would just have one row on here and we double rowed them.
I see this.
For one, we're just trying to conserve water.
Benji,
And
you
with
missed
the weeds. Yeah. But we're trying to conserve water and it helps with the weeds. There is some grasses growing up in between, but not nearly as much as what you would expect.
It doesn't seem to be bothering them. They're producing
No, they're
really
producing
heavily.
really well.
Yeah.
Our weather is not cooperating with us at all this year.
It happens.
It is extremely dry.
Well, here's the thing. It happens though, right?
Yes.
I've lived here in drought and in flood, and it happens. So what can you do to buffer against loss in that case? I mean, is it purely biodiversity, or do you have other things that you do to kind of
Like
make sure
right
you're
now,
making
we're
food?
trying to get a shallow well put down so that we'll be able to run water when the rain's not cooperating. Out here, right now we have a vat that's 1,500 gallons that we're filling up on a daily basis. And we're putting over 1,000 gallons of water on the dirt. I mean, you can see it's still powder.
Yeah, it absolutely. This is sand,
Right.
as I've ever seen.
And if you'll notice, the peas are really long, but a lot of it's not filled out. And that's just because of the lack of the water that we've had.
Yeah, there's gaps in the pods
Right,
where they're
there's
flat
gaps in the
instead
pods.
of having the seeds swelled.
We've been extremely blessed with it. Even with the gaps in the pods, our first picking the other night, which was Sunday, we picked 2 5-gallon buckets. And off of 2 5-gallon buckets, once we shelled, I give them to my mom actually. And she loves peas, especially the pink eye purple hulls.
Yeah.
When my dad was alive, that's what he drew. And yesterday, actually, he passed away a year.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I took her to the peas over Saturday, and I thought she was going to cry because she was so happy because nobody's growing peas around here. Even like your big produce stands are having the peas shipped in.
Oh, okay.
Nobody's really wanting to grow. There's a few, even conventional farmers, there's a few, but most of them have been grown elsewhere and then being brought in frozen.
I see. Okay. So you still have a good haul out here. I mean,
Yes,
obviously
I mean,
you have a lot of rows.
like I said, we've been blessed. The rows are 100 feet long.
Okay.
We have 22 rows total, if you count, single rows. But we have 11 rows of the pink eye purple hull, and we have 11 rows of the Texas cream 40s.
Okay.
It'll probably be another week before they're ready.
Okay.
But the pink eyes are doing really well.
Which one's your favorite?
I would have to go with the pink eyes. That makes a dark pot liquor, and I love it. Now, why are you jumping on that row
I
over
can't
there,
help
Katy?
it.
Yeah, we got to stay on this row.
No, this is, I know, but this is the gardener in me that says, oh, grab that while you're here.
Yeah, sure.
Just like I walk through your garden and I just eat as I go. I forget to ask permission to eat.
It's funny, we talk about peas and the dynamics of the people. Here, you talk about peas, everybody puts them in a pot and boil them down with some ham hocks or, bacon or something. But you go up north around Atlanta, Macon, they take these pink eye purple hulls and they shell them and they put them on salads.
They go on salads. You know what else? They mash into hummus like a dip.
With the pink eyes?
Yes, they're delicious.
See, we love hummus. And I have to tell Angie about it.
Hi, I'm Katy Rogers. I hope you'll be right back after this message to join me.
But you go up north around Atlanta, Macon, they take these pink eye purple hulls and they shell them and they put them on salads.
They go on salads. You know what else? They mash into hummus like a dip.
With the pink eyes?
Yes, they're delicious.
See, we love hummus. And I have to tell Angie about it.
No, so you have to tell Angie, your whole family's doing this. This is not a small project. This is part of your livelihood.
It is.
How'd you get into this? What caused you to say, you know what, we're gonna grow and we're gonna grow differently?
Well, I was raised traditional. My dad drew, if 10-10-10 ammonium nitrate can't make it grow, nothing will.
Okay.
That's all I ever knew.
Okay.
And then in 2013, October the 29th, 2013, we just moved over here to Blackshear. And I come home and I borrowed Mr. Ray's lawnmower, which is a zero turn, and I mowed my grass. Well, by the time I was done mowing my grass, my legs were numb. Well, I thought I'd slipped another disc in my back because I've had 2 microdiscectomies. We went to church that night. We had a fall festival, and I hurt extremely bad, like nobody's business. Well, the next morning, I was going to go to the chiropractor, try to get readjusted. Well, next morning, I couldn't stand for the sheets to touch my bed. Angie had already went to work. She was working with the Mayo Oncology at the time.
Okay.
I thought I'd had a stroke. I couldn't move my left side. I give her a call. I said, something's wrong. I can't move my left side. I can't stand for anything to touch me. And I felt like someone had a hot iron just running it through me. Well, went to her, or got up there, and immediately they put me in ICU. And in a little less than 24 hours, whatever was going on started attacking my lungs. Started shutting my diaphragm down. And they come in and they give me a treatment called immunoglobulin, which is IVIG. They administer it a lot like chemo.
Okay.
I'll say within 48 minutes of them administering, my symptoms started reversing. We thought it was over with, you know. Well, 2 weeks later, I was back in ICU. That was in 2013. The day after Thanksgiving, I was having to have treatments every single day. I couldn't walk. I couldn't function. I was on 150 mic fentanyl patch, 11 milligrams of Dilaudid, and 7 milligrams of morphine every 2 hours. I was having treatments every morning. Day after Thanksgiving, had to go to AIC up at the hospital. And as I was walking in, Dr. Brickle said, "Vinci, are you okay?" Because I could get air in, but I couldn't get it out. And I thought it was just because I was wore out, you know, hurting. She said, "Something's not right." Well, I went in, and within about 4 hours, my lungs shut down and they put me on life support and they sent me to Emory. And I spent a week up there, and just one thing after another, couldn't ever figure it out. Doctors couldn't figure it out, and we had the opportunity to go to Rochester, Minnesota. And I met a doctor there, and within 5 minutes he knew what I had. He said, "Son," he said, "I know you got good news and we got bad news." I'm like, "Okay, what?" He said, "Well, good news is we know what you got.
Okay.
Bad news is there's no cure." He said, "You have a rare autoimmune disorder that only maybe 2 million people in the world have." He said, "When you get a cold or you get an infection, your immune system fights it off. But once it's gone, it sees your nervous system as an enemy, and it begins to attack your nervous system." He said, "And fatigue could be a trigger." He said, "You're going to have different triggers." Well, we found out that fatigue is one of my triggers. Also, the synthetic nitrogen that they use in 10-10-10 and other type forms of fertilizer is a trigger for me. I can eat conventional vegetables, and about 3 platefuls or 3 servings, I'll be having treatments again.
Oh, wow.
So we started growing this way, looking at different alternatives, ways of, you know, fertilizing, feeding the plants. And we come across worm castings. Actually, Roger Westover, a good buddy of mine and yours, told me about worm castings. Well, longest time I'm still back and forth in the hospital, and because we hadn't got it leveled out yet. Started doing research on worm castings, and lo and behold, I said, I'm gonna try it. Got out, and my first garden that I'd done, I asked my dad, I said, "I need you to plant this many plants of tomatoes, this many plants of squash, and this many plants, and you grow away." "Why?" I told him, I said, "Because we're gonna try using the castings, and I want to see how it compares."
Oh, you set up a trial?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Well, stuff ain't cheap, Katy.
You can say that 3 times.
But it blew my mind, because on the squash, we produced the exact same amount as my dad that was using 10-10-10.
All right.
But the tomatoes, we outproduced Dad 2-to-1, because for the simple fact we didn't have bottom end blossom rot, which is a calcium deficiency.
Right, go worms.
Dad was eat up with the bottom end blossom rot.
Right.
I'm like, wait, there might be something to this.
Right.
So I ordered my first set of worms.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Katy on the Farm here in Blackshear, Georgia, where we've been visiting with the Adams family at Bammm Farms. We've learned so much and had a great time, and we hope you'll join us next time for the next episode of Katy on the Farm.